The biggest lessons I've learned in my life are here. Through different topics, I'm going to inspire and motivate you to reach your success and your dreams. I'm so grateful that you're here on Journey to Success. So let's enjoy my next episode together. Glad to have B.G. Howard as my guest on the podcast today. He's the author of the compelling book, Family Ties, Thicker Than Blood, which I encourage everyone to grab a copy and dive into this interesting story. So welcome, B.G. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Mr. Fabio.
That's okay, of course, no worries. And so, BG, I would like to start with an open question with you. You had an accident, and I must say it was quite intense. So I don't want to go straight away to the accident, but I just would like to ask, who were you before the accident, basically? So how much different was your life than now? Tell me.
It was completely different. I mean, in virtually every aspect. Prior to my accident, I was self-employed, owner of two businesses. Was doing very well by modern standards, and let's just say my life changed drastically. Excuse me. I was the owner of two businesses and living life. I basically did what I wanted, whenever I wanted, went where I wanted, whenever I wanted, bought what I wanted, whenever I wanted, and it was a good life. And I had the accident. As you said, it was pretty traumatic. I spent seven months in a coma, underwent almost 8 years of rehabilitative therapy. And even to this point, many years later, I'm still in quote unquote recovery mode. It's just like being an alcoholic. You're never a former alcoholic. You're always a recovering alcoholic. So I guess I'm still in recovery.
Wow. I mean, 7 months of coma, it's a lot. And actually you're great here, truly. I didn't imagine it was 7 months. It's unbelievable. And I'm sure many people have asked you this before, but can you tell me more about the accident? So what happened? What do you remember about it?
Oof. Well, honestly, I don't really remember anything about the accident. And in fact, I don't remember my life. The only thing that I can relay at this point are things that I've been told. Family and friends and doctors and medical personnel have described the circumstances. I was, like I said, I had two businesses, and one of the individuals who worked with me had some concerns about her boyfriend, who happened to be my accountant. But there were some concerns about his extracurricular activities, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so she asked me if it would be okay for her to stop by and speak to me about the situation. She was taking classes at night, from what I understand. She had someone from after class drop her by my house for us to discuss the circumstances. And we won't go into all that, but after conversing, I was to take her home, and my elder brother though he did not live in Jacksonville. He lived in Georgia, which is about 2 hours away. But he was at that time he was passing through often, so he kept his bike at my house because when he would come through when we would ride together.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, he said I contacted him and asked if it would be okay to ride her on his bike, and of course he permitted me to, and we left the house on the way to take her home, and she said it started raining, so we essentially made a big circle to come back to my house, and about 3 blocks from home, a truck pulled out in front of us, and so we slammed into the side of the truck. She broke one of her legs, one of her arms, her collarbone, and her pelvis. Thankfully she did not get hurt any worse than that, because I don't know if I could have survived knowing that, her situation was worse because of me. I, on the other hand, did not fare so well. It's taken me a long time to even get to the point where I could discuss it, like within the past year. But my injuries were a little more extensive. I broke both my ankles, both my shins, both my knees, both my femurs, my pelvis in 3 places, both my upper arms, both my elbows, both my forearms, both my wrists, and I had a severe head injury that resulted with me being in a coma. I was in a coma for 3 or 4 months, for several months. I don't even know how many, but they said that my injuries were so severe, they kept me medically comatose for a total of 7 months. Okay. So essentially, I was in a coma for 7 months. Woke up, had no idea what had happened, who I was, where I was. Essentially, my life was erased.
Do you still right now there is something from it? I mean, do you still remember something from your previous life? Some, maybe some flashback, or not?
No, sir. No. Mr. Fabio, honestly, I have no recollection of anything prior to, the accident was in 2001. I have no recollection of anything concerning my life before sometime in 2005. So right. I know, and only up until about 2009, I was, still confused, because it was not until about 2006 or 7 that the doctors realized, there's a condition. It's a condition known as static encephalopathy. Big fancy word for brain damage. Mm-hmm. But one of the side effects, the consequences, is the stutter, which I obviously have. Loss of memory. I have difficulty recalling things. So with that, I just started keeping a daily journal. So right now, I write everything down. Anything that's significant, I write down. So that helps me with my memory. And I also learned to play chess, which is a very, very good mind exercise game.
Beautiful. It's, I mean, if you think about it, right, it's nice to have people around you that consistently, in your case, remind you who you were, So I think for this, I think you were you have been very grateful about the fact that there was maybe some some people who loved you and they're still loving you and they're still trying to make you remember stuff, and then maybe they show you the photos. How is that feeling? Is actually pleasurable as I think, as I imagine, or maybe it's more painful, heartful? Maybe it's both. I don't know.
It's actually a little stressful.
It's a
Um,
stressful then. All right.
simply because number one, prior to my accident, I did not, and still, I don't like taking photos. So there are
Okay.
very, very few photos of me that exist. Um, and as far as my family and the people around me, at that time, both my mother and my father were still living. They've since passed. And I have 5 siblings. So 7 people in my quote unquote family, my close knit circle. And the irony of it, they all had 7 different stories.
Oh.
So when I would ask anyone, either of them, to tell me about me, I got 7 different stories. And it's ironic because I used to live in New York at one time, and I have a god sister. Her name is Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
and Lauren, she basically summed it up. I went to visit her, sometime after the accident, and she said to me, "Your life consisted of a great many little circles, but never at any point did you ever allow any of the 2 circles to intersect." And that was so phenomenal. I couldn't even fathom, and I did not intend to live my life that way, or at least I didn't think so. But that's the way she
Yeah.
interpreted my life.
Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa! You're right in a way. There is some irony about it, especially about the photo. The fact that I don't know is the fact that you don't have a photo, right? So many, and to make you
Well,
remember who you were, basically. So yeah, and listen, just as I'm gonna make you a couple of questions just to understand better to me and our listeners, right? So about these things that happened to you, and
mm-hmm.
and I have to say, if I can say, I'm gonna say right now. I know that you were actually a bit worried before the recording, but you are doing super great. I'm very happy about it. Truly, truly,
Well,
truly, truly.
thank you.
No, no worries. It's very beautiful to have you here, and it's nice also to make people understand that there is hope. After big accident, after a coma, there is hope, because we live in a world right now that there is not so much hope, and you are a survivor, and this this is beautiful, that you are still working for it. You are so strong. I mean, uh, it's just, I think you are an example to a lot of people right now that are gonna listen to the show.
Well, if
Truly.
I could interject, um,
Tell
I
me.
have to laugh. That is my means of dealing with me.
Mm.
When I finished, or when I came out of the hospital rehab, um, every morning I took 8 pills, and every evening I had to take 6 more. So my medications, not just my prescriptions alone, it was almost $1,000 a month. I woke up from a 7-month nap to find myself almost $5 million in debt because of some things that that someone else had done. I won't point any fingers, but so my sense of humor was the only thing I had left, and my faith in God. So according to what I've been told, the first 7 days I was in the hospital, they operated on me 8 times. I flatlined. I died 3 times. So what else did I have except hope?
Yeah. But it's also nice. We're going to talk later about it. But it's also nice the fact that, as I understood, you were a successful person before the accident. So you had 2 business. I think you had a kind of a dream life, but at the same time, also after the coma, after you recovered, anyway, you wrote the book. So I mean, it's truly wow, So it's unbelievable. So my compliments, truly,
Well,
because
thank you.
Listen, we are very distracted right now with social media, Instagram, Facebook, and streaming and Netflix or whatever, and people don't achieve what you achieved before and after the accident. So it's very, very my compliment, BG, honestly.
Well, thank you. Thank you
And
very much.
there is I want to tell a story actually, about something that I hear. I think the story about the dark tunnel during a coma and the light at the end. So honestly, I never really thought about this concept before. So I believe the experience is much more deeper, as people may have some sort of metaphysical encounter that profoundly alters their perspective on life, death, and the afterlife. So, however, I'm curious to know more about your personal experience during the coma. So, what happened during the coma? Do you remember something?
No, sir. I've honestly, I've had a number of people ask me that question.
Yeah. Because it's interesting question. I mean, because you are in the line between life and the death, right? So yeah, for 7 months, you don't actually remember anything.
It was okay. Like, for example, you woke up this morning.
Yeah.
You have your agenda for the day.
Yeah.
And you will go home tonight, this evening. You will, enjoy your evening, shower, go to bed, and you go to sleep, and you wake up tomorrow and you start all over. You pursue your goals, your life. For me, it was the same thing. Only there was a lapse of about 7 or 8 months because I didn't know I was asleep. And, I didn't. It's not like I just went into my room, took a shower, turned back my covers, and went to bed and woke up the next morning. I woke up not knowing who I was, where I was, or what had happened, or even how long I'd been asleep. So there was nothing. It was essentially like going to sleep.
I think also there was no concept of time.
No, sir.
No, like for you, 7 months in coma or 8 hours sleep. I think for you it's actually, I think it's the same.
The same thing.
The same thing. So no dreams, nothing. It's just when a person is super, super tired, he has no even time to dream because he's so tired and just wake up the next day.
Right.
Wow.
Only, my alarm couldn't wake me up.
And well, this is a curious fact actually. But I mean, this concept change your way to think about the religion somehow in a good or negative way. Before we go through, if you're enjoying this podcast, please consider taking just 3 seconds to share it with someone else. It is a small gesture that could make a big difference in someone's day. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Well, I mean, I grew up in church.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from South Georgia, and one of the things that my family has, my family has pointed out, my siblings, they joke about the fact that you could go Friday night to the lounge, to the club, party all night. You could go Saturday night to the lounge, to the club, party all night, but Sunday morning you're gonna be in church. That was just my mom.
Okay.
And our mom, but um, she was my best friend. Um, when I after the accident during my recovery, she was just the rock. I mean, of course, my father was there, but there's just something about a man and his mom, that connection, or at least with my mom. And the thing that my siblings have continued to impress upon me is the fact that she didn't care what you did, but come Sunday morning you're in church. If you went to the church in the same clothes that you were to the lounge or to the club on Saturday night, you in church. And so I said that jokingly, but in truth, we were raised in church. And so even though I didn't have a firm grasp of what it meant, or what it meant to have church in you, I knew what it was to respect and give reverence to the Lord. And there's just something about church spirituality that you just don't play with that. And even still to this day, I have a reverence for the Lord, and I don't. That's not something I toy with. It's just it's like that place that you just don't go.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyway, for sure, like, I mean, had some impact.
Correct.
Had some impact.
Correct.
Had some
And
impact. Yeah. Tell me.
honestly, honestly, since my accident, I met I met my wife. Her name is Sandra. She's from the Caribbean. Her name is Sandra. It's spelled Sandra, but the Caribbean dialect, they pronounce it Sandra. And earnestly, she introduced me to a different concept, a unique concept. Instead of going to church and you're going through the motions, which I refer to that, and this is my own personal view, but I refer to that as religion. But she introduced me to spirituality, the concept of having a relationship with the Lord. And there's a huge difference,
It's true.
And I honestly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please go on.
I was simply going to say that, earnestly, the writing is something that I attribute to, a gift from the Lord, because I've never taken courses. I've never studied anything about writing. I just write. I write a weekly opinion column for the newspaper back home in Georgia, the place where I grew up, and I just started writing. So every week I write an opinion column for the place I was born and raised in, a place called Baxley, Georgia, and the newspaper, the Baxley News Banner, the editor Jamie Gardner allows me that platform, and so I write every week an opinion column about just whatever comes to my mind. And Sandra often asks me, she goes, "Do you know what you're gonna write about this week?" No. She says, "Well, how do you know what you're gonna write?" When I sit down at my computer to write, that's when it'll come to me.
You don't know if this gift about writing was also before your coma. I know that you don't remember, right? But I mean, someone say to you that anyway you already had this gift to write.
Yes. In fact, my mother presented to me an album, and she had saved. I used to write for the newspaper years before, like, whenever I graduated high school. Shortly after I graduated high school, I worked at the newspaper, and eventually they approached me about writing, because I used to participate in, all sports: basketball, baseball, track, cross country. And so the editor at that time uh, approached me about writing a sports column. So I wrote a weekly sports column for the newspaper back then. And earnestly, when I had the accident, I uh, I had stopped because I left home, moved away, and after the accident, I honestly woke in the middle of the night, and I had this vision, this epiphany, or whatever you want to call it, about writing for the paper again. And I contacted the editor, and he said, "Sure." I said, "What do you mean, sure?" He goes, "If you want to write, you can write." And I said, "But don't you want to discuss it with me first?" He goes, "No." He said, "I know you can write." And so, but me being me, I didn't remember him, but he remembered me. And
Okay.
reportedly at the time that I was previously there, I had won. I think someone told me that I won one national award and one state award for my column, my weekly column. So, but the editor, he at that time he was younger. His parents owned the paper, and his family has operated the paper, since its inception. But he's the youngest son, and he's now the owner and editor. And he said to me, "Well, I know you can write." So, and I resumed writing in 2015, and I've been writing ever since.
Beautiful. This truly reminds me that we are made of energy, right? So it's nice to find things that can give us a positive energy, and at the same time we have to be smart to be away from things that gives us negative energy. So, and
Sure.
it's beautiful that also after your coma and the accident, you found something that give you positive energy. I mean, you can feel that the life is worth, when you find a purpose, especially.
Right.
And very very interesting. And also I would say before about the spirituality, I totally agree about you. Like, my family is a Catholic, and technically I'm Catholic as well, but
Hmm.
my view is more spiritual. Like, for me, as much as you love God in any form,
Hmm.
for me there is not so much different between Catholic or another religion. So this fact that you said, and I wanted to point out because it's true. I mean, as much as you love God, and as much as there is love,
Hmm.
basically, that's the right religion for you, right?
Right.
So, so very very nice aspect, truly. Okay. So what I want to say to you? Oh yeah, um, I mean, you didn't give up anyway. So you didn't react as the victim of the story. I think maybe at the start, I don't know,
Right.
but it's normal. But as I can see during your way, you didn't give up. I'm sure that you had the work to do. You knew it, that you had some work to do, undergoing a lot of rehabilitation to become again, I don't know, to get some success again, some revenge, I guess, to become some, I don't know, maybe the same successful person that you were before, but in another form. So I'm just guessing, or tell me if there is a true about what I'm saying.
Well, there's a lot of truth to it because that's just my nature. Um, you know, I try to explain to people to help people understand a person's habits can change. For example, if you smoke, you can choose to at some point stop smoking, or if you have habits that you can just decide you want to do things differently. But the nature of a person never changes. Your
Yeah,
habits can be modified or changed, but your nature, the nature of who you are, never changes. Without some type of spiritual intervention, uh, it's still your nature. It's just maybe it transforms or transitions into a different form. But it's like a fish. You can't tell a fish not to swim. That's just who he is.
yeah, it's his nature. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And talking about success, talking about your book, I also seen your website. I like to how can I say to look around my guests, before to do the interview. And there is this beautiful phrase of yours that I absolutely love. And I want to be a good author who happens to have survived an accident, not an accident survivor who became a good author because of surviving. I think this phrase is very important because people tend to attribute the success of others solely to their past experiences. For
Hmm.
example, they might say, oh, he became an author because of the accident. But
Right.
what I appreciate about this phrase is that it asserts your identity independently from the accident. So I'm sure the accident and the coma had a profound impact of your book, of course, but they are not the sole cause of it. So perhaps there is another reason behind the phrase, and maybe I'm just speculating, but I would like to know more about it since it's so strong in your website. So really catch my, it's stick in my brain, basically, catch my mind.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I've had a number of people suggest, well, you should write a book about your story, about you should write a book about your life. And I tell them, my life is not that interesting. I know because I live it. Um, and of course, that's my jest, my joke. I joke about it, but in truth, the comment came because I do not want to, as the statement says, I don't want to become a notable author because of my writing about my accident, about that experience. I want to be a sustained author because of the writing, because of my books, my novels. So when people say, "Well, you should write a story about your life," at some point, perhaps, but right now, my focus is, and trust me, every author wants to sell books. But I don't want the books to sell because, oh, he went through this traumatic experience and he recovered and he wrote no, I want you, when you read the book, when you read the novel, to be captivated by the story itself.
Yeah,
This is not, a book about my life. It's a book. I was, not to get ahead, not to get ahead of you in the questioning, but the way that the book came about, the way that the novel came about, I was undergoing rehab, in the process of my physical and mental recovery. Um, and, like I said, I had two businesses. So my average work week consisted of 140 to 150 hours a week. So I go from working that many hours to crickets. I'm sitting around looking at the walls, trying to avoid them attacking me. And so one day I'm hearing this idea comes into my mind, and I dismissed it, but it kept coming back. So for a period of about 6 or 8 weeks, I got this nagging urge to write something, and I literally just one day opened a Word document and started typing. But it was for the purpose of making the voices go away.
Yeah.
To quiet the noise inside my head. And that's where the process started.
Yeah.
So over the course of it took me about the original novel, it took me about 2.5 years to write. And then when I finished it, I didn't know what it was. So I just filed it away on the computer and started writing something else.
Yeah. Well, BG, I mean, in 2.5 years, as I said, people don't even write a page, so no worries. So it's true. It's true. Come on, let's be honest. And no, but anyway, I understand. I totally understand. And you basically want that people understand and empathize with the book and the author, but they don't have empathize with the man who is a survivor right now, because
Correct.
otherwise it doesn't make sense. No, I believe it. Actually, I totally understand. And all right, so time is flying. And wow, it's more than 30 minutes. And I have just a last question for you. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
So, Vijay, so you underwent a profound change after your coma, and you didn't give up. You wrote a book, and I mean, I hear you. You still want to have a not the revenge, because maybe it's a hard work, but you still want to be successful in life. You still want to give something. So, right now, who is BG Howard? So, who are you?
I identify as a fiction author. Short answer: I'm an author. I enjoy writing. I keep a daily journal because that helps me with my memory. I also write the weekly opinion column for the newspaper back home. I write short stories. I write poetry. I write philosophy. If you go to my website, authorbghoward.com, there's a page called In the Gray Matter. Those are columns on various subject matter. Those are the columns that I write for the weekly newspaper. And then there's another page called Points to Ponder. Those are original philosophical quotes, things that just come to me in the middle of the night when I can't sleep. I write. I enjoy all things writing. My wife, she shortly after we married, she at first she was like okay with it, but then several months into our relationship, she said, "Listen, you spend 18 to 20 hours a day on this computer. That has to stop." So I now I've had to curtail my writing and my aspirations to incorporate at least a movie once or twice a week.
Listen, she's right. I tell you about my woman as well, and I think is also like your woman. They want you succeed. I talk about my woman as well, but sometimes she say, Fabio, I support you, I love you,
But
But this evening, I want cuddle. I need, I want to be with you on the couch, please. And then what you can say, you have to say, okay, okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So, and VG, thank you so much. Truly, it was an absolute delight to have you as a guest on the Fabio podcast. It was very beautiful, and as I imagined, your presence added tremendous value to the show, and I genuinely hope you had a wonderful experience as well.
Yes, I genuinely have enjoyed the conversation.
Beautiful.
I I'm supposed to be here to talk about my novel because it is a good book.
You can
Um,
say something. No worries. Don't stop before to close. If you like to say something else about your novel, you can do. No
well,
worries.
I mean, I honestly I think the novel is a lot more interesting than my life. Um, I my escape is my escape is to an alternate universe, if you will, another world, a world that I create, and I enjoy that so much more than I do my real life. Uh, Obviously, I have the physical challenges, but in my created world, the characters, I can live out my life vicariously
Mm.
through the lives of the characters. But the original novel, Family Ties Thicker Than Blood, it launched in 2020, but I didn't know, earnestly, I didn't know what I was doing. So after I launched the novel, I went back and researched how to write a novel. So that is what produced the revised edition. So the current title, Revised Edition, Family Ties Thicker Than Blood. And it concerns a young man from, ironically, South Georgia, who relocates to New York in pursuit of a modeling slash acting career. He accidentally saves the life of a key figure of a notorious crime family by the name of Oswald Jenkins. But you can't fit into the scheme of
Yeah.
things as a crime boss with a name like Oswald. So the reference is Oz. So Willie moves from New York, from Georgia to New York, and he accidentally saves the life of Oswald Jenkins, or Oz. And as more or less a favor, Oz kind of takes him under his wing, teaches him the ropes, and that represents a problem for the previous second in command, a guy by the name of Anthony, or Amp. And Amp doesn't he's not very receptive of the idea of being displaced. So he teams up with another former protege of Oz's by the name of Jerome. So Amp and Jerome hatch a plan to move in on Oz's territory. And Willie is, more or less an afterthought, but he takes a key role in the operations. His life is a little further complicated when he starts dating NYPD officer Ernestina Lady. So he's dating a police officer while running operations for a crime boss who does not necessarily approve of his aspirations to be an actor. Oz has this opinion of actors that they are unrealistic people who live unrealistic lives with unrealistic expectations. So he does not approve of Willie's pursuit to be an actor. So Willie can't tell Oz about his desire to be an actor, but he can't tell Ernestina, the officer he's dating, about his real life. So there are a lot of twists and turns
Nice.
in the story. A really really nice backstory. So it's a crime thriller with a hint of romanticism because it involves his relationships with multiple people. But it's a very very interesting coming to life, coming to life story. Um, I think in fact, people who don't even read that genre have picked up the book and they've been like, you know what? this is not normally my read, but this is a really good book.
Nice. Listen, I didn't read the book, and I'm sure it's a beautiful book. Actually, I also read some review about it. But I have to counter something about what you say. I don't think your life is not interesting. I think you fight it. And even if you don't remember, BG, you fight it for 7 months. Remember that you fight it for 7 months. It's just you don't remember. You're very strong, man. So yes, I'm sure the novel is good. I'm sure the book is good. For sure, I can truly put my hand on the fire that the book is actually worth. But your life is a story of success. So don't forget it. Don't forget it. Truly, yeah, definitely.
Well, I have a sister-in-law. She's actually from New York. She lived in New York.
Yeah.
Only I think a few years ago, she moved to California. She's now a professor at one of the colleges out there. But her name is Gwen Alexis, and she read the novel. She actually posted a review. It's published in the front of the revised edition. But she said that, she said, "Are you sure you lost your memory?" I said, "Yeah." She says, because she said, "I read the novel, and it was like literally taking a tour of New York City."
Oh.
And she said, "I don't understand. You lost your memory, but like even the locations, scenery that I described in the novel." She said it was like taking a tour of New York City.
So somehow inconsciently you still remember, but just you don't know maybe how to express these memories. This is very interesting.
It's really weird. It really is.
This is very interesting. Well, this is actually it's how can I say it's a double win in this way, right? Because you do something that you love it, and something that give you energy, and at the same time helps you to remember. I think it's super great, truly. Truly. Yeah. And the BG, so tell me, do you want to tell me something else? I'm here before to close.
No, I mean, I thank you for allowing me a presence on your platform. And, perhaps at some point you might want to maybe invite me back to share.
Yeah.
The revised edition launched last year in May or June last year. There is another actually this fall. My plan is to launch Family Ties 2 Blood Covenant. So I'll have another novel coming out at the end of this year.
Okay, so we doing this way, right? So you are writing the second volume, the second book. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right. So as soon as you finish the second one, so you come here again and you share another more sides of your story, and then of course you can you can announce the second book. We're here, no worries. And also I'm gonna be for long, so
okay.
Well. All right, and thank you so much once again for gracing us with your insights and sharing your remarkable journey. And take care and stay incredible, BG Howard.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Here we are. Congratulations. You just finished my entire episode. So, the only thing I ask is to take a moment to give Journey to Success a rating. By the way, thank you so much for being here on Journey to Success. I'm very grateful. Thank you and see you next time.